Hi everyone, it's Mallory here, and welcome to season 2. That's right, 2 of Viive Values here at Viive Planning. I am so excited. I cannot tell you how many cool and really brilliant guests we are bringing to you this season. We're going to be coming to you once a month, unlike last year where we came to you every 2 weeks. We're coming once a month, and we are bringing you some really stellar people, including my guest today. I cannot believe that he said yes to this. He is just like, I've been like cult following him since I met him about 1.5 years ago. So let's go ahead and get him added and get you introduced to him here. Hold on. We will get him connected. I hope that everyone has to be back and sharing so much content with everybody. So here we've sent our invite. Let's see. Now, just a reminder that we are here once a month on Wednesdays, and you can watch this after. You don't have to worry if you can't come on your lunch hour to watch us live. Don't worry about that. We post everything here on Facebook, on LinkedIn, all those things. Oh, hold on. There he is.
Hi.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, I made
You
it.
did it. This is incredible. Everyone, this is Carl Honoré. Say hi, Carl.
Hi everyone.
Amazing. So I was just saying that this is our first episode.
Oh, sorry, you kind of froze up and went quiet, but
Yeah,
you're back
I
now.
know. I turned off my notifications, but I'll be honest, my mom called and she's on that like special list that can like interrupt things.
Oh, right. She pierced your
Yes.
armor.
So, oh my gosh, she just interrupted the Instagram live. Sorry, everyone. All right. So for people who are here today and for the people who are going to watch later, Carl, there could be some people here who are not familiar with your work, and they should be. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do?
Sure, I'm a journalist and author, broadcaster, and my two main subjects, the two topics I'm best known for, are the power of slowness in a
Mhm.
world obsessed with speed, and the power of aging in a world obsessed with youth.
Amazing. I love that. I love that so much. So let's talk about that. So you have written multiple books, and a lot of them are in praise of living slowly. Now, some people might be like, what the heck does that mean? Living
Yeah.
slowly. So what do you mean by that exactly? And why do you think it's so important for everyone?
Well, a lot of people may be just freaking out and thinking, no, I can't do
Yeah,
everything. But I am
that's
not an
me.
extremist of slowness, right? I love speed. Faster is often better. We all know that.
Yeah.
But not always, right? And that's kind of the key for unlocking the slow revolution, slow with a capital S, right? The slow
Nice.
movement, which is
Hmm.
about doing everything at the right speed. So sometimes fast, sometimes slow, and then playing with all the different speeds and rhythms and tempos in between. In fact, musicians have a beautiful term for this. They talk about the tempo giusto, the correct tempo for each piece of music.
Yeah.
That kind of gets at what this slow creed is all about, finding the right rhythm, the right groove, the right music for the moment. And I think if you go a bit deeper with slow, what you're actually talking about is a state of mind. It's quality over quantity.
Hmm.
It's being present and in the moment. It's doing one thing at a time. If you remember those days,
Yeah.
ultimately, I think of slow as doing everything not as fast as possible, but as well as possible,
Mm.
which is a very simple idea, but one that can revolutionize in a good way every single thing you do.
I really love the fact that you use the word tempo. I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually got my degree in opera. So music
Oh,
is
wow.
such a massive part of my life. And I'm actually doing a really big reset in my own personal life right now and taking stock in just how much I do, how fast I move through life, and really needing to just not. I'm 38 and I see 40 coming up, not in a bad way, just in a like, there it is over there, and moving into this new decade of my life. And who do I want to be in 2 years? And like, what do I want to take value and stock in? And so the fact that you use the word tempo, like immediately I thought when we're done this Instagram live, I'm going to go write it on my whiteboard over there as like a reminder. Also, because I just so connect with it as a musician myself.
Yeah, well, I think music is a wonderful way of thinking about pace, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just something about music, if you've done right, takes you into the right place, takes you into the right rhythm, the right groove, the right
Mm-hmm.
music and poetry. And it's also to do with your body as well. It's the mind, you're
Yeah.
hearing it, but there's something about the body moving through the world at the right speed that we all identify with as well. Which is
Mm-hmm.
why walking, I think, is the supreme act of slowness, because if you walk too fast, or even if you walk too slowly, you feel it, right?
Yeah.
It's something's just not right. It doesn't fit. It's uncomfortable. It's jarring.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a reminder that there is a sweet spot in there that I'm calling the tempo giusto here.
I love that. Now, slow living is something that we tend to associate with later in life, those sort of post 55, 65,
Mm.
depending where you're living in the world, years where you're retired and you finally get to do all the things that you wanted to do for so long. You can sleep in, you can travel, you can just take your time. Now, here I am, I'm 38, I'm a millennial. I mean, how does that apply to me? And what's wrong with this picture that my generation and even a generation above me are thinking we have to go, 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 go until that little cutoff mark, that retirement date, and then we can finally take our time? What's wrong with that?
I think that's completely the wrong way of thinking about life, especially in 2024,
Yeah,
right? When most of us can look forward to living well for, 8, 9 decades even. So the
exactly.
idea that you would rush around like a headless chicken or a roadrunner for six
Hmm.
of those decades and then suddenly stop and slow
Yeah,
down makes makes no sense, right?
no.
Because the whole slow lens, right, is about doing everything better and enjoying it more. And you can apply that when you're 21, 31, 41, 61, or 101, right? So
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that's why I think that the idea of slow is so accessible and so powerful and so transcendent. Is it something that can apply to absolutely everything you do at every stage of life?
Hmm.
So whether you could be you're 38. I mean, you don't wait to enjoy your food or break bread with the people you love around the table with no phones there. You can do that at 38. You don't need to wait till you're 92 to slow down with food, right? You don't need to wait till
Hmm.
you're 88 to take a vacation.
No.
Right? There's so many things that we ought to be doing all the way through our lives, and I do think that we've inherited this straitjacket, three-stage life path
Yes.
from the earlier, well, probably from the late 19th century, I suppose,
Hmm.
when it really came about. So you have learning, earning, and then resting, which, if it ever made sense, I'm not sure it ever really quite did, but it no longer makes sense when people are living so much longer now.
No, no, it's so true. I mean, people used to retire at 65 and die within 10 years. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not what we're looking at all. People are thriving well into their 80s, like living still very active physical lives. So we need to expand what that looks like, just like our life expectancy is expanding as well.
exactly. I think we need to have a wider and more richer menu at every stage of life so that
Mm.
you can be doing volunteering or working for money or looking after a family or caring or whatever it is at any stage, whatever works for you. There's no universal recipe for what it is to live a good life at 38 or 48 or 68. Each person is unique. But
Hmm.
the first step towards working out what's going to suit you at that age, they were coming back to slow here, is to slow down, right? Is to slow
Yes.
down, take some time to let your mind wander,
Hmm.
to reconnect with yourself, to ask yourself big questions such as, who am I? What's my purpose here? Am I living the right life for me? That's how you get out of autopilot and
Yeah.
start writing the script that's going to light you up, whatever decade you find yourself in. And you need to slow down as a first step to do that.
Exactly. 100%. Now, when we're talking about slowing down, we're talking about age. Let's move over into ageism here. So, I think that most people watching this think of ageism and they go, that's a very harmful thing for older adults. 100%. Not diminishing that at all. It really, really is. And we could talk for hours about ageism, you and I, am sure. But you've also noted that the cult of youth is actually bad for all of us, no matter how old we are. So, why is that?
It does. This was one of the things I found most extraordinary when I began doing the research into aging, is that ageism, discrimination and biases based on age, it actually works like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And what does that mean? It means that if you buy into the cult of youth, if you tell yourself constantly that aging is a downward spiral, then it will be. Right? You're more likely to suffer physical decline, cognitive
Mm-hmm.
decline, get dementia, or even to die younger, up to
Mm.
7.5 years younger. So buying
Wow.
into the cult of youth, telling yourself when you mislay your keys, it's a senior
Yeah.
moment. When you feel a little twinge in your back, you're feeling your age. All those words and expressions that reinforce the idea that aging sucks, right?
Yeah.
That it's a downward, spiral down towards decrepitude. Every time you do that, you are chipping away at your own aging. You're
Mm-hmm.
making yourself age less well. You could be leaving up to 7.5 years of life on the table. It's mind blowing. And then I think there's another thing as well that happens here, which is that when you buy into the kind of ageist tropes that adventure, discovery, romance, sex, vigor, all those things belong to young people, effectively what you're doing is you're closing off doors, right? Think of all the roads left untraveled because we pay heed to that little voice in the back of our minds whispering, I'm too old for this, right? Yeah. And if we cast off the shackles of ages and we pull off those ageist cult of youth goggles, suddenly the horizon opens wide and capacious, and there's so many things we can sink our teeth into and swing to the fences for and try out, yeah, right? At any age.
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. And I think we see that, we're starting to see that. I definitely see it. I predominantly work with people in the boomer generation. And so we've got a pretty wide age gap there, right? Like 57 to 85-ish right now. And, the ones that are still working, that are still on that younger end, I find that they have a much more open mentality to that, to this idea that retirement will not, it'll be a big transition. There's no diminishing that. But it's not, what am I going to do all day? Oh my God, how am I going to fill my time? No, they are like thinking of all the amazing things they want to go learn and do and explore. But then you get to the other end of boomers, and I find they've been out of the workforce for a decade or more, and a lot of them are struggling. A lot of them, I think they were still kind of in that mentality of the silent generation, that they also just didn't believe they'd live this long, I think. And they're still really trapped in that they can't have new experiences because they're just too old. But there's still so much available to them, especially with the advancements in medicine and the fact that they are so healthy. There's so much more that they can do. But I agree with you. It always surprises me, and maybe it is because of my age or just what I've been exposed to. But the more and more I spend time with people who are older than me, I find that their mentality, as you said, is so key to how they physically progress through life. And that has really changed a lot for me. I had a really severe injury when I was a teenager, 14. And like, for instance, right now on this call, I have a heating pad on my lower back because my SI joint popped out today. It happens. Right. It's fine. A year ago, I probably would have been like, oh my God, what's going to happen when I get older? I'm going to get arthritis in my hips. Like, I would have started going down this spiral. And instead, I just go, okay, well, my SI joint popped out. I'll go see the chiropractor. They'll pop it back in. And then I'm going to go back to my life because I have things I want to do and accomplish. And I might have to change those things for a couple days while I heal. But then I'll go back to my life, because if I sit here and worry about this joint over and over again, it's just going to start to mess with my head. And I could see that looking back, even in members in my family, how any sort of physical change of any kind really progressed them through their aging process. But I think it was more mentally than anything else.
I think that's true. I think if you adopt a kind of doom or gloom approach, whatever age you are, then you're going to encounter more doom and gloom down the track.
Exactly.
And we know there's a pretty clear link between mind and body. So if you have that bleak downward spiral view of the future, then you're going to slither downhill. So I mean, anyone can pop a joint or have a problem. It's how you deal with it,
how old you are.
Yeah. And it, actually, quite right. It doesn't matter how old you are at all, but you always have it within your grasp to bring a different lens to the party and to say, this is not the end of the world. There are many more chapters awaiting me in the future. How can I, pivot here to get through this and maybe even use it as something I learn from and become stronger as I emerge out the other side. And if you take that kind of what people call the growth mindset, then you will grow, right? I mean, the clue is in the title.
Exactly. Now, September is Healthy Aging Month. I'm sure that a lot of people view Healthy Aging Month in different ways. But as someone who's researched aging a fair amount, what do you think the keys are to aging healthily?
Well, there are a number of them, and the obvious ones are things like eating a healthy diet and exercise. We all know that. But other ones that people maybe give less attention to are the following. Number one is to keep on learning. Keep on exposing yourself to new ideas, to novelty. That keeps you fresh and sharp, cognitively and physically fit. So keep on learning. Number two, build strong relationships. If you have a strong social network, that also is incredibly good for your health at any stage, but also will help you age better. I think it's very useful as well to build up, I think of it as your personal pantheon of role models. So people who light you up with the way they're aging. So someone who's maybe 10 years older than you, who does the same, who plays tennis and you play tennis, right? And you can look and say, well, look, it doesn't have to end 5 years from now. Look, this person 10 years from now is still playing 3 days a week and sort of thing. So something that just lifts your spirits and makes you think of aging as an upward curve
Mhm.
rather than a downward slope. So having those role models to hand is useful as well. I think it's also very helpful to keep a sense of humor about things, not to get too po-faced,
Yep.
and just be able to laugh at yourself and laugh at some of the downsides. Let's be straight and let's not be Pollyannish here.
Mhm.
There are some downsides to aging, of course they are, but if we can embed them or see them in a bigger context and also see them with a light touch and see the funny side, I think that helps us move forward
Mhm.
and age better. And then last, but I don't think least is, and this could sound a little gruesome, but I think to think about death.
Mhm.
And I don't mean to obsess about it to the point where you're depressed and you can't get out of bed. I mean just to be aware of death,
Yes.
aware that there's an end point.
Mhm.
Because as soon as you know that there's an end point, there's a deadline out there, it helps you focus on making the most of the here and now, whatever age you are. So those are
100%.
some starter tips there for aging better.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And that for sure has been a part of my journey in this work. And it's interesting, like my friends joke that you invite me to a dinner party, for sure we're going to end up talking about aging and end of life. Like there's no way not to. But what's interesting is what used to be uncomfortable for them, I notice like now, yeah, they make light of it, but they actually ask a lot of questions. And I think it's because they're starting to become comfortable with the fact that they know someone who does work like this. They know someone who's thinking about it. And I think also I've seen in myself and in my spouse a change in how we lead our lives because we've allowed ourselves to imagine our life ending. That really is a big thing when you acknowledge that, and then you start to take stock in what's most important. Like what I'm trying to do right now is I'm changing my own life leading up to 40 because I want to live in a different way and live more mindfully and focused on what is most important to me, and in some ways live more slow, which for me is so hard, but I'm working on it, Carl. Um,
You got lots of
no,
time.
I know.
There's no
Well,
rush.
now to wrap up, so are there any misconceptions or myths about aging that you think our culture needs to find a way to move past?
Yeah, I mean, there are loads. I mentioned it's important to keep on learning. I mean, one of the big
Yeah.
myths about aging is that you can't learn new things when you're older. You know, the
Hmm.
old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
Well, guess what? That's not even true of dogs. Yeah. And
No.
it's really not true of human beings. We can go on learning new stuff all the way to the end of our lives.
Yeah.
So that's number one. I think also another common stereotype myth about aging is that later life is depressing. You know,
Mm.
think of the words we use to describe older people, crotchety, cranky, grumpy,
Yeah.
sad. No, but untrue. Human beings follow what's called a U-shaped happiness curve. And that means that you start high in childhood, you bottom out in middle age.
Hmm.
There's something for you to look forward to as a 38-year-old, but then you bounce back up again, right? So that the over 55s report the highest levels of happiness and life satisfaction across all socioeconomic groups. So that's something that I think goes very much against the prevailing narrative, which is that
Hmm.
aging is unhappy, right? It's sad and
Right.
it sucks. So those are a couple right there.
That's wonderful. Carl, this has been so special. I really appreciate you coming in. And for people who don't know, you're calling in from England right now, right?
I'm calling him from London. Yep, all across the
Yeah,
ocean. Yeah.
amazing. I really appreciate you connecting with us and taking some time out of your very busy schedule. And I'm sure, and if people want to reach out to you, can they contact you through Instagram? Is that okay?
Yeah, Instagram is a great place to get me, or my link tree is with all my links is just my name, Carl
Mhm.
Honoré, altogether, carlhonoré.info.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank
And
you.
for people who are wondering, we'll be posting about our next episode next month. We've got some amazing guests lined up, so please be sure to join us. Thanks so much, Carl.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Till next time.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.